Hello there. My name is Andrew.
And I'm JS.
That was our Mr. Rogers kind of introduction. It's October, and October means Halloween. All Hallows Eve. Leading up to October, every single day, it's my favorite holiday, we are going to be reviewing a movie a day, but not just any kind of movie. We're going to be reviewing a horror movie a day.
The horror.
Yeah. One of the reasons I really love this holiday is actually because it gives me the excuse to just watch a lot of horror. To get in the mood.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to attempt to watch one every single day, actually.
You are, and you've been trying to do that for a while, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if it happens.
You think you feeling good this year?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I think one of the ones I'm going to rewatch is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Not Gus Van Sant's Psycho?
Maybe I'll squeeze that in too.
Nice. Oh, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You should turn the contrast all the way down.
Put that black and white.
So, like we just said, we're going to be reviewing Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's seminal movie.
Yes.
A masterpiece, really, of the genre.
I feel so. Do you feel so?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's 1960. It is almost like the center of film.
Yeah.
Where we are today.
Yeah.
Because it's just right there in the middle, and I honestly feel it is the greatest horror film ever made.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Nice. You know, I think I agree with you in the sense that Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever made. This is the greatest horror movie ever made in terms of it inspiring a generation.
Right.
And it changing the face and the grammar of the genre. I can't argue with that at all.
With a lot of the horror films we're going to be reviewing this month, we're going to be calling back to previous horror films.
Right.
Psycho is one example where there's not a lot of callback because it is the trendsetter. It's the first slasher movie ever made.
Yeah, it's in the DNA of every horror movie, even if it's not the same genre. It's like there are sets, there are trends. There's something called, I kind of coined, I didn't coin it, but it's something that I see in a lot of movies, and I always say, that's a Norman Bates effect.
Okay.
And by that I mean, that's like a Deus Ex Machina, that's a guy in the machine completely changing the direction of a plot.
Okay.
For example, Pulp Fiction, when Bruce Willis is chasing Marcellus, and they just get stuck in a pawn shop, and then all of a sudden there's a crazy gang rape kind of thing. That was like a Bates moment where a plot was going one way, and then life intervenes and something crazy happens.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more pronounced or more celebrated or more pivotal moments than that moment in Psycho.
Absolutely.
Because this movie does not start off as a slasher.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it starts off as like a modern crime film for its time.
Like any other Hitchcock movie. Really.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I just wish for the life of me that I could have been there seeing this in theaters, not knowing anything. I wouldn't have been able to read the book because Hitchcock probably would have bought it all from the
a very
local
famous story.
Yeah. In fact, the production of Psycho might be one of the most famous making of stories ever time. In fact, it might even make a good movie. No, it wouldn't. That would be a terrible idea.
No, maybe the Birds would make a good... Oh well. But it does make a pretty good book or two. Yeah. There are a number of books on the making of this movie, and all of them are great. I remember reading one when I first started really getting serious about film in high school, and there'd be stories like that, and the way it took weeks on end to do the shower scene and stuff like that. This is one of those movies, though, where I, for the life of me, cannot remember the first time I've seen it. I can't remember what my relationship with this movie ever was outside of just what it is at any given moment today,
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that's been in my DNA as long as every genre that's inspired.
Yeah. And I've certainly seen the shower scene before, which we'll dissect that a little bit later.
Right.
The first time I watched Psycho, I was actually alone in my college dorm room, like the
You were in
loser.
college?
Yeah, I waited that long.
Wow.
And it was
And
just
but you
me
knew
and
a
my
lot about
computer.
it.
I knew about it. I didn't know the whole plot.
Right.
But of course, I've seen some of the iconic sequences, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was in that same room that I also saw 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time.
Oh man.
And so those
on a
two
computer screen too?
Yes, on a computer screen. And so those two movies, I sort of put up on this threshold of just cinema's greatest hits.
I think for a second there when you said college, I was like, oh, this poor guy, I never saw Psycho 2. I think I'm actually jealous of that experience because I wish I saw this movie with an understanding of how it narratively defied so many archetypes of not only its genre, but of just storytelling.
Sure.
I wish I was of the age where I could appreciate that the first time I saw it.
I mean, from the opening credits, just really jumps out at you with this Bernard Herrmann score.
Oh, man.
There's the black, there's the white, there's the gray.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what this film, not just talking about the fact that it is a black and white movie, but it is dealing with some of these characters. Janet Leigh, she's not a good person. She's stealing like $40,000 from the onset because she wants a better life.
But she makes that last minute turn.
Exactly, yeah. Right before...
Is she damned for that? Is that the narrative saying too late?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting.
That's really... I always thought that was really not mean for Hitchcock, but a little, I don't know, a little off, not off-putting at all.
He's a macabre guy. He's
very
absolutely
macabre.
macabre.
Yeah.
This film has almost 3 main characters. There's Janet Leigh, there's Vera Miles, and then we have the Anthony Perkins character. And it's interesting where one leaves and then another comes in.
Weaves in, yeah.
And
especially because it's not set up so that you think it's going to be an ensemble narrative or even a switch in protagonist.
Yeah.
You really think it's going to be Janet Leigh's story from the get-go. And then by the time you get to Vera Miles, it's just like, where's this movie heading?
Right. Yeah. And we should just say, just full-on spoilers for Psycho if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Please watch it.
So I just thought the idea of like killing your protagonist in the middle of the movie, actually, even before the middle,
right?
This is like the end of the first third.
Yeah, first reel.
I was just, wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Let's talk about that shower scene a little bit. Did you have any revelations this time around?
There are
52 shots. I believe
52 shots.
Okay.
52 shots, and it's said that Saul Bass storyboarded all of it. It's really the kind of auteur of this sequence has been in dispute forever.
Sure.
Saul Bass has always been an insane gentleman about it. He cites, Hitchcock just as much, but he does, his storyboards are out there for everybody to see. And when I was watching, I found myself incredibly, I usually hate fast cutting. I think every time there's a cut, it allows the audience to blink and it allows the audience to take in a breath.
Right.
And for a lot of suspenseful movements in particular, when you want tension to build, not backing away from anything, I think is an incredible asset and tool for a filmmaker.
Right.
To keep you in the moment.
It knows when to hold a shot.
Yeah.
Which is most incredible. It's
right.
when Janet Leigh first gets into the shower, all we're hearing is the running water.
Right.
And then there's this shot with it's just the water still, and we see behind the translucent curtain someone entering the room. And then the camera just moves on in, and then it's not until whoosh, with the curtain, that's when the score starts.
And it seems like most filmmakers would have the hint of somebody there, and then they cut away. Because they want it to be like a shot kind of moment. Whereas this, you're right, he holds it for a long time.
Yeah, he really does.
Which almost allows that fast cutting, it earns that fast cutting.
With each stabbing motion, it's almost as if that's the way the editing went.
Right.
And Hitchcock's wife helped with the editing of that sequence particularly.
Right, yeah.
And then that scene ends, again, with another held shot. I love, one of my favorite match cuts in all of cinema is the drain to the eye.
Oh, so
it's
brilliant.
Gorgeous. And then we just sort of tilt out.
So brilliant.
As we're just left with, oh my gosh, our protagonist has been killed, and we're left there looking at a dead protagonist.
Right,
what's the audience going to do?
Right.
I mean...
And I think it's really hard for... myself included, I include myself in this, for people today to realize, young people today to realize just how graphic that sequence was at the time in 1960. There was nothing really like it. We weren't even to the point where you could show flushing toilet on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to have somebody just be stabbed to death in a shower, just so in cold blood.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing how little you see. You see some chocolate syrup in the drain, but you don't really see anything else.
Yeah.
Everything else is implied.
I think it might be the most famous sequence in cinema. It's
I think
up
you're right.
there.
Yeah, it has to be. I can't think of anything that would even, think of Citizen Kane or Casablanca, maybe the ending.
Sure. But even a lot of younger people have seen Psycho, whether it's been on TV or whatnot, when they haven't seen some of those films. After Anthony Perkins gets rid of Janet Leigh, there's this scene where
which is the best sequence in the film. I even like that more than the shower sequence.
Where he's getting rid of the car.
And he's mopping up the floor. Okay. It's all these meticulous little details that he goes through that in most films is glossed over.
Yeah.
You would cut to him looking in the shower, and then cut to him in the river with the bag. or something.
Yeah.
That's the general way of doing it. But it was so terrifying to me to see him go through the steps of cleaning things out.
And the car in the swamp outside the Bates Motel. And Hitchcock plays with us. There's a moment where we think it's going to stop sinking.
Yeah.
And then we are almost on Perkins' side of things.
Exactly, because you're like, no, it's not going to sink. People are going to see it. Yeah, totally.
Which goes fabulous with the very last shot of the film, where they're actually pulling it back out. You know, we're going to unsurface this story.
Right.
So yeah, let's talk about the ending of this film, I suppose, and some of your problems that you have with it.
I don't blame them for this.
Okay.
There's a lot to be said about how in that time I imagine obviously we didn't live in that time, but for a long time, you know, they wouldn't acknowledge psychological damage as being the main crux of why people do evil things. Fritz Lang's M. In
fabulous film.
A fantastic film. He kills children in that, and the whole ending was him trying to explain that, like, I'm psychologically damaged. I have something wrong with me. There's a chemical imbalance in my head. You know, I'm just not. I'm not well. I'm taking the insane plea bargain. Or whatever.
Absolutely.
And that wasn't. I mean, even to the '60s, it wasn't. It was common by that point, but it wasn't really done well in films. So it comes to this scene. It culminates. So I'm getting to it. It culminates to the scene where the doctor explains everything about Norman Bates.
The exposition after the fact. The doctor just drives a nail into the reasoning behind this character. I think it's kind of a disservice in the movie because by that point I'm checked out. Sure. I think it only works when after all of that is said, who are we left alone in the room with?
True. Very true.
And it's sort of also goes back to after the murder, we're left in the room alone with her, the corpse.
Yeah.
And now it's this living corpse of sorts.
Right.
He has brought his mom, who's been dead for years, and he has made that part of him.
Right. He manifests that in him.
And it's just getting back to the horror roots. I mean, the ending of this film is so disturbing.
It really is. It really is. And I kind of wish they just cut out the 10-minute long sequence before.
Okay.
Go see this movie if you haven't seen it.
Absolutely.
And then see Psycho 2.
Or don't.
Or don't. See the first one. It's a classic. Don't watch Hitchcock, that movie. Terrible. I'm Andrew.
And I'm JS.
See ya.